This is a story about the king and his ministers. Once upon a time, there lived a king who was known for having the most intelligent and talented ministers in his kingdom. The ministers were not only intelligent, but very sincere. He called 3 of his most important ministers, and gave each one of them boxes. He then told them to go around and fill up the boxes with fruits. This would test the sincerity of his ministers. The ministers were happy since it looked like a very easy test for them. All the 3 ministers went outside the palace in search of fruits. The first minister, named Paul, took the order of the king very seriously, and worked hard to collect the best quality fruits he could find and filled up his bag. After a long search, Paul spotted the perfect fruits to fill up his bag for the king. He searched high and low to pick the perfectly ripe fruits. Paul then carried all of the fruit he picked back home, washed it and put it in the box the king gave. The second minister, who was named Bill, did not take the king's orders very seriously, as Paul did. Bill, not thinking what would happen with the fruit or who would eat it, filled up the box with a mix of good and rotten fruits. Tom, the last minister, took a short nap. After he woken up, he realized he had to fill up the box with fruit to bring to the king. As Tom was lazy and did not want to go empty-handed to the king, he had an idea, since he thought that the king would not open the package of fruits and check. He decided to fill his bag with leaves and dirt. All 3 ministers came back to the king with their boxes. All of the ministers presented their fruit that they collected earlier that day to the king. Without inquiring what they had collected, the king ordered that each minister must be sent to a separate jail for a week. The food they will be eating is what they had each collected in their boxes. Paul was very happy as he had collected plenty of good quality food to live on. He wasn't worried at all. Bill was somewhat worried as half of the fruit he had picked was overripe, but at least he had some food. Tom was angry at himself. He was terrified, as he had no food at all. He was neglectful and lazy in carrying out the command of the king. One week later, the king then called Paul, awarded and appointed him as his chief minister. What is the moral of this story? The moral of the story is, each one of us is like one of the ministers above. We have all been given a book which we need to fill with good deeds for use in the hereafter. Some of us will be sincere and will collect plenty of good deeds. Others will live like the remaining 2 ministers who will have a mixture of good and bad deeds. While some will totally neglect their duty and waste their life by committing sins day and night. On the day of judgment, we will be responsible for what we have done. Let's be like the first minister, who took things seriously and had nothing to worry about in the end. Islamic projects.